I was waist deep in the lake with my line in the water and the sun on my back when I heard the crunch of Karen's heels on gravel behind me. I didn't even need to turn around to know it was her. Only one person in the neighborhood walks like they're stomping on something they hate. She called out, "You're not allowed to fish here. HOA rules say no individual use without board approval." I turned slowly. "Karen, I'm in the lake, the same lake that touches my property line." "You may own your house," she said with a smile sharp enough to cut glass, "but the lake is HOA common property. You need a permit, and the board has voted not to approve individual permits this season. And you just happened to vote right after I caught a 12-pound bass last week?" She narrowed her eyes. "Rules are rules." That's when I decided it was time to play a different kind of game. I'd lived on the lake for 4 years. The water was the reason I bought the house. I fished in the mornings, watched the sun go down across it at night, and kept my canoe tied up to a small dock just off my backyard. It wasn't just scenery to me, it was part of my life. But Karen and her little group of clipboard warriors on the HOA board had been slowly tightening the leash. First it was no power boats, then no guests after 6 p.m., and now this, no fishing unless you were personally blessed by the HOA. What they didn't realize was that the lake wasn't actually owned by the HOA. The original developer never turned over full rights, and after he passed, his company dissolved and sold off most of the land. I only knew this because I looked it up when I first bought the house. Just curiosity at the time. So I made a few calls, talked to a few attorneys, hired a land consultant, and after 2 months of paperwork and patience, I bought it. The whole lake. Turns out the remaining shares were still owned by a few investors who had no idea what they held, and they were thrilled to unload a liability they didn't use. I now own the entire body of water, plus the land beneath it. The next weekend, I posted signs at every common access point. "Private lake, trespassers will be prosecuted. Residents not welcome without permission." The HOA lost its mind. Karen called an emergency meeting. They tried to argue I couldn't own the lake. I brought copies of the deeds and a lawyer. They tried to claim I was abusing my ownership. I simply shrugged and said, "Well, rules are rules." Now I let people fish, but only people I like. The neighborhood kids, the quiet couple 3 doors down, even old Mr. Reynolds with his squeaky chair and terrible bait. But Karen, she gets a laminated note every time she sends a request. "Request denied. Private property. You should have approved that permit." I still fish every morning, and Karen watches from the public trail, sunglasses on, bitterness in her soul. It's peaceful.